All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Thurman, and in this video, we're going to talk about Errol Spence Jr., Terrence Crawford, and Keith Thurman. Developments taking place, getting some word on the street that if Terrence doesn't take this fight, we might be getting another fight before the end of the year for Errol. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're in the welterweight division, and we are in the area of what is going to happen with Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford. If Terrence Crawford doesn't turn around and agree to this fight, if they're not able to get the fight done, and that is what it's starting to look like more every day. And it very well may be Keith Thurman next in line for Errol Spence Jr. I know that Errol Spence Jr. doesn't want it, but I'm told that that is what other people want in that organization, and very well may be what turns out to be the case. Before I get into that, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a longtime subscriber and supporter to the channel, thank you so much for your support. Ongoing support. It is greatly appreciated. If you're new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos, which we do on a daily basis, both in the videos and in the live streams. Really, really good boxing community. You know, chop it up. We don't always disagree about everything. It's not one of these places where you have to agree with me, but we always have really good boxing talks about the hottest topics in boxing. And this is most definitely one of them. Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford are in negotiations depending on who you talk to. If you listen to what Terrence Crawford team had to say, nothing's happening in the fight. If you listen to Mike Coppinger is saying, oh, the fight is almost done. They're just trying to figure out what the location of it is. That's what Ishai Smith said as well. They're just looking for a date. But other than that, it's almost done. However, if it does not get done, then we very well may be getting to see a fight that people had wanted to see for a long time before Terrence Crawford ever got to 147 and before Errol Spence Jr. became a champion. And that is the fight between Errol Spence Jr. and Keith Thurman. And a couple of things make me believe that. Aside from someone that I trust telling me, look, that's kind of what they really want to do. Terrence Crawford is a very expensive proposition, and it's a scenario where the PBC, and you definitely heard that out of the mouth of Tim Smith, said, look, we don't even want to make an offer for Terrence Crawford because we don't want to, create a situation where we're giving him an offer that's insulting. It seems as if, that's the same thing that, the issue that was ran into by Stephen Espinoza, when Stephen Espinoza said, that the fight is more likely to happen than it was in the past. However, is this a Mayweather Jr., Manny Pacquiao size fight? No. Are we going to be paying people that type of money? No. And he said, so that's where really the hang up is the expensiveness of the fight. Now, there's also a fight that was rumored to be made, and Stephen Espinoza also came out and said, man, that's an expensive fight to make. And that is the fight between Jaron Ennis and Keith Thurman, right? It was asked to him in an interview what he thought about that fight, and he said, oh, yeah, that would be a good fight, but, really expensive to make. Now, if you read between the lines on that scenario, really expensive to make means I ain't trying to pay for that fight. At least that's the way that I read it. Otherwise, he said, yeah, that's a real possibility. However, Keith Thurman probably isn't going to fight Jaron Ennis unless he is getting top championship fight type money to fight Jaron Ennis. And more than likely, Showtime is not going to be putting that out at this point in time. So what Showtime is probably going to want to do, especially if Terrence Crawford does not accept some type of offer that works for them financially, is to make the Keith Thurman Errol Spence Jr. fight, because that's one of the 3 options that they have for him at 147, unless of course Errol, and this is Errol's prerogative, decides to say, no, I don't want to do anything else. If I don't fight Terrence Crawford, I'm leaving the weight class. I'm going up there to fight at 154 pounds. I cannot imagine that is something really that Showtime wants him to do, or the PBC really wants him to do, especially considered how, first of all, Jermell Charlo has all of the championship belts at 154 pounds, and he has a mandatory against Tim Tszyu. So, and on top of it, Jermell Charlo said he doesn't want to fight Errol, so it's not like Errol can move up there and get can make a big, spectacular fight with Jermell Charlo. And then of course you have, the Funduras and guys like up there, where it's just not as known of a situation with Errol Spence. Now, if you recall, also Keith Thurman said that he was told by the WBC that he was going to be the mandatory for the WBC belt. And after he beat Mario Barrios, now the WBC did turn around and say, oh no, it's a final eliminator. He's not necessarily the mandatory. But at the same time, they piggybacked, they basically leapfrogged Keith Thurman over Jaron Ennis from the number, I think Jaron Ennis dropped from number 3 to number 4, and Keith Thurman went up to number 3. So he's right in there in position to fight for that WBC belt. I do also believe, since, I'm sure he's not still a champion in recess, but being a former WBC champion, they will probably like to make that fight because that's a big money fight. And it's the biggest money fight that Errol Spence has at 147 pounds. So my guy is telling me that's really where they think that they want to go to. Now, that's not saying that the fight with Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford won't get made, because I'm very hopeful that it will get made. I'm thinking that, whatever the money is that can go into making that fight, Terrence Crawford doesn't have a lot of choices other than that. So he very well may take it. I know that is definitely what Errol Spence Jr. wants. That's what fans want. I'm sure it'll do real big money. But, every time that I listen to Steven Espinoza, or I listened to Tim Smith, and definitely when Floyd Mayweather Jr. put a kibosh on what Mike Coppinger had to say, just makes me feel like, this may not go down. And I'm sure that they have something that they would want to do, that they would rather do. And what people really like in boxing, they like in-house fights. And the best in-house fight for Errol at 147, or best fight that does not include either a Jaron Ennis, who at this point in time, I'm not sure whether or not they want to put him in that situation or put Errol Spence Jr. in that situation. The best situation is really the Keith Thurman fight. But again, definitely a known fact that Errol doesn't want that fight, said he doesn't want to do it. So, he has the last say so on what he's going to do. I'm just being told that they're going to try, if this fight doesn't take place, or doesn't agree to it within a reasonable amount of time to set a date and plan it, that they're going to push on that Errol Spence Keith Thurman fight. But anyway, that's just a small update on it. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.